What is so interesting is Kody, the first time around with first written offer, Kody, Meri, and I had completed the title work signatures like within a week. I sent in the checks to the title company so no one would balk about paying for the fees. And the contract was just about to expire. And Robyn pops up and says, "Oh, I'm not going to do it unless you guys sign this confidentiality agreement and this holds harmless," meaning that, Meri couldn't take any more action to get her money back.
Hi, and welcome back to my channel. Let's get straight into it. Kody and Robyn Brown aren't just problematic, they're operating like a con artist duo. Their entire narrative is a carefully constructed fraud, and the recent backdoor deal storyline is their most desperate deflection yet. This is about silencing Meri Brown for good to cover their tracks. The performance they put on during the tell-all was masterful in its deceit. They are so determined to paint Janelle as the villain in Meri's eyes. But the truth is, the only two villains in this story are the ones running the scam. They are deliberately pitting Janelle and Meri against each other to create a smokescreen. If the two of them are fighting, they aren't looking closely at what Kody and Robyn are doing behind the scenes. This strategy came into full view in the latest episode. The major issue is that Suki, the host, is either unwilling or unable to hold anyone truly accountable. She doesn't ask the tough, probing questions. She hasn't reviewed any documents or done any independent verification. She isn't acting as a journalist. She's simply facilitating the false narrative they want to sell. Because of this, we wasted an entire episode on a fictional conflict designed to further drive a wedge between Meri and Janelle when the real culprits were sitting right there. Let's rewind to the start of the episode. Robyn makes a last-minute appearance in the spring of 2025, likely around March. Her demand? She wants Meri and Janelle to sign a non-disclosure agreement. This document isn't about protecting feelings, it's a legal shield. She wants Meri to sign away any right to future proceeds from sales, to waive all possibility of future legal action, and to stay completely silent about how the Coyote Pass deal went down. Most importantly, she wants to ensure Meri can never speak publicly about how Robyn allegedly never paid her back for the proceeds from her Las Vegas home. Let's break down the timeline, because the facts dismantle their story. As I've explained before, Janelle, Kody, and Meri all signed the documents to transfer the Coyote Pass property in January 2025. They agreed to the sale with the buyer. The one person who refused to sign until the very end of February, or even March, was Robyn. She was the holdout, stonewalling the entire process. During this period, Janelle was rightly panicked because the buyer's offer had an expiration date. Behind the scenes, Robyn was the obstacle. Yet, when she finally explains her delay on camera, she doesn't mention legal demands. Instead, she offers a heart-wrenching story about her emotional connection to Coyote Pass. She talks about her dream of a family compound, how she was 1,000% in, and how hard it was for her to let that dream go while everyone else moved on. This is manipulation 101. Instead of admitting she was holding up the sale to force an NDA and protect herself from Meri's potential fraud claims, she frames herself as the tragic victim. She's the last true believer in the family dream, left heartbroken and alone. It's a brilliant, calculated performance to remind the audience she's the good wife who wanted unity, devastated by the family's breakup. But Janelle isn't buying it for a second. She calls it out, suggesting Robyn is simply playing a role. Janelle believes Robyn says what she thinks she's supposed to say, that she's so sad the family broke up, because that's the part Kody has cast her to play, the beautiful, compassionate wife who is a victim of circumstance. And there's likely truth to that, but I believe it's twofold. This victim role isn't just for Kody, it's for the public. It's a cover. She pretends to be this person to manipulate Kody into giving her what she wants, and she plays the victim for the cameras to avoid being exposed for who she might truly be. The emotional tie to Coyote Pass is a complete fabrication. Robyn wasn't emotionally tied to that dirt. She was financially tied to it. She didn't want Meri to get her fair share of the money, and she certainly didn't want Meri to be able to talk about it. This leads us to the core of the alleged crime, which is the key to understanding the desperation behind the NDA. We need to talk about the Las Vegas house money. The story goes like this. When Kody and Meri sold their home in Las Vegas, they were joint tenants on the deed. In simple terms, that means they each owned 50% of the equity in that home. When it sold, Meri was legally entitled to 50% of the profits. According to the information available, that is not what happened. It appears Kody took 100% of the proceeds and gave that money to Robyn. That money was used as a down payment for the family's home on Knife Trail. To make matters more complex and, allegedly, to hide the origin of those funds, they later sold the Knife home and used that equity to buy their current mansion, the so-called Destiny, home worth over $2 million. By moving the money through this chain of transactions, they essentially cleaned it. It made the trail from Meri's rightful share to Robyn's current asset much harder to follow. This is what could form the basis of serious legal claims: unjust enrichment, conversion, and fraud. Meri could potentially sue to recover that money, as they are still benefiting from it today. This is the terrifying truth Robyn and Kody are trying to bury. The NDA was the tool to do it. Janelle reveals the shocking moment when, after nearly 2 months of radio silence, Robyn presented them with a fully drafted contract. This wasn't a casual request. It was a formal legal document demanding silence, a waiver of future claims, and a hold harmless clause. A previously unseen clip from this season shows Kody stating he had no legal obligation to pay Meri a dime, and that he was using a loophole. This admission is crucial. It tells you this was intentional, and it was likely Kody's idea from the start. Janelle admits her lawyer suggested just pushing the sale through to avoid losing the buyer, but she clarifies it never actually happened. My perspective here is that while Janelle isn't the villain, her mistake was entertaining separate conversations with Kody. By not presenting a united front with Meri, she gave Kody and Robyn ammunition to create this backdoor deal, narrative, and throw her under the bus. Regardless, the damage to Meri's trust is profound. How could she ever trust either of them after this? They were discussing ways to potentially cut her out of the deal behind her back. So, let's reconstruct the scam. Robyn strategically refuses to sign the documents that would fairly divide the Coyote Pass parcels. Kody swoops in, looking like the good guy, and gets Meri and Janelle to agree to a 25/25/25/25 split in January. Then Robyn, off camera, refuses to sign. On the show, she claims she won't sign until it's equitable, but by January it already was. The holdup was her. The so-called backdoor deal would have involved scrapping the new, fair agreement and selling the land based on the old deed titles. Under that old structure, Meri would have received only a 1/3 share of a single parcel, a significantly smaller piece of the pie. Robyn frames her refusal to sign as her being the rock in the way to ensure fairness for Meri, which is an absolute lie. This is why Janelle was so angry, because having that conversation meant they were contemplating proceeding with a sale that would financially harm Meri. Thankfully, that backdoor deal never materialized. Why? Because Meri had lawyers. When Robyn finally presented her outrageous NDA, Meri's legal team undoubtedly reviewed it and said, absolutely not. Meri stood her ground. As Janelle herself pointed out, it doesn't really matter who first mentioned the idea of a quick sale. The fact the conversation happened at all reveals a fundamental betrayal. It shows that even while Janelle claimed to advocate for Meri, she was having separate negotiations with Kody. This highlights a painful dynamic Janelle hasn't fully escaped. She sometimes still behaves as if Kody is the head of the family. She tries to reason with him, to negotiate, as if he is capable of good faith. She might be trying to see the best in him, or she might have been desperate for her share of the sale money. But the effect was a betrayal of Meri's trust. The only reason the scheme failed is because Meri refused to be bullied. She used her lawyers, she protected her interests, and she would not sign their silencing agreement. This is the real reason for the intense anger directed at Meri. They aren't mad because she delayed the sale. Robyn did that. They are furious because she wouldn't agree to stay quiet. She wouldn't agree to never sue them. She wouldn't agree to bury the story of their alleged financial actions forever. In a powerful moment, Meri hinted that this isn't the first time they've tried to use an NDA to muzzle her. She stated, "I'm not going to be silenced again." There you go. I just said it. She confirmed she held up the sale because she wouldn't be silenced anymore. This opens up a chilling question. What was the previous NDA about? What have they already forced her not to talk about? For years, Meri has cryptically said, there's more to the story. She would act in ways that didn't match the on-screen narrative. What is she legally forbidden from revealing? The only public legal documents between Kody and Meri are their divorce papers, which contain no confidentiality clauses. So what is this secret agreement, and what does it cover? Think about the power of this tool. Robyn presented the NDA, but Kody benefits from it just as much. This was a united front. Robyn, on her own, has no legal claim to Meri's marital assets. Her liability is actually greater because she is the one who was ultimately enriched by money that arguably belonged to Meri. But Kody is equally responsible for diverting those funds. This NDA was a joint effort to protect them both from the consequences of their past actions. Now, look at the broader pattern. For years, Meri has been framed by the family narrative as unstable, emotional, and volatile. Kody even joked in this episode that Meri would murder him if he talked. This is a tactic, but painting Meri as unpredictable and dangerous, as Robyn is poised to do next week, they discredit her. They make anything she might say seem like the rantings of a bitter ex-wife, rather than the claims of a wronged partner. They need her to look crazy because she knows the truth. She is the keeper of their secrets, and the only way to neutralize her is to silence her legally or destroy her credibility publicly. Let's be clear, the backdoor deal drama is a ruse. It's a fictional conflict manufactured to distract from the real scandal. The real story is about theft, cover-ups, and legal strong-arming. It's about two people who allegedly took money that wasn't theirs, built a life with it, and are now using every tool, emotional manipulation, false narratives, and legal threats, to ensure the person they took it from can never speak about it or seek justice. In the end, Meri emerged as the only true truth-teller in this mess, even if she can't say everything aloud. She stood her ground. While Janelle was navigating a complex web of past loyalties and present needs, and while the host failed to ask the tough questions, Meri drew a line. She refused to sign their document of silence. Her use of lawyers and her unwavering stance are likely the only reasons the fair sale eventually went through. The conversation about the backdoor deal, while it didn't become reality, exposed the rotting foundation of trust. It showed Meri that behind her back, even though she thought her allies were discussing scenarios that would cut her out. It proved that Kody and Robyn's primary concern wasn't a fair division of assets, but a legal protection plan for themselves. So what are your thoughts, besties? Does this pattern of deflection make sense to you? Why do you think the tell-all host consistently avoids this level of detail? Does Meri's hint about a past NDA change how you see her years of cryptic behavior? The picture that forms is not of a simple family disagreement, but of something much more calculated. It looks like the systematic isolation and silencing of a person who holds the key to exposing uncomfortable financial truths. Robyn and Kody aren't just sad about a failed family. They are acting like individuals with something serious to hide, using every episode to reinforce a narrative that paints them as victims, and Meri as the problem. This is why the truth matters. This is why digging past the he said, she said drama is important. Because at its core, this is a story about power, control, and the alleged exploitation of a family financial system. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up if you agree that the real story is being hidden. Subscribe to my channel and hit the bell so you don't miss our next breakdown, where we'll continue to connect the dots. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the comments. Bye guys!